Chapter 31. Another Clash. Everyone's expressions changed when they heard those words. Fadayu cursed. What idiot woman is that? Get out here for daddy. Just as he finished speaking, a table whistled over from the corridor, smashing towards them. But it suddenly stopped in midair. Long Chen had grabbed it, and with a flick of his hand, he sent it flying back. A woman had just walked out over there. She had a disdainful expression, and that table had clearly been thrown by her. To actually first throw a table to smash them, and then walk out? What a lofty manner. But she hadn't expected that the table she had thrown would actually be smashing back at her with over 10 times the force. Just the gale force created by the table made it hard for her to breathe. It had happened too quickly, and it was already too late for her to dodge. If she was hit by it, she would definitely end up with some broken bones. The table suddenly blew apart. A man with a blade scar appeared in everyone's eyes as he protected the woman. When everyone saw him, their expressions once more changed as they recognized him as the personal bodyguard of the Xianxia's prince. The scarred man was startled to see Long Chen, and he narrowed his eyes, saying, I didn't expect to run into you again so soon. Although he had managed to break apart that table, he had not managed to completely disperse the force. A heavy footprint was left on the floor, showing that he had misjudged Long Chen's strength. No way around it. I am a young person after all. Gotta act energetically and move forward bit by bit every day. I can't compare to someone as amazing as yourself who has already planted himself down and no longer moves forward. I, however, still have a long path to travel, he indifferently said. The scarred man's face darkened, and he was just about to reply when another voice rang out. Ha! It's been a couple of days, but Brother Long is still suave as ever. The Xianxia's prince, Xia Changfeng, slowly walked up with the same likable, smiling face he had used before. Xia Changfeng smiled. It's just a misunderstanding. Let me introduce you to my sister, Xia Bachi. Long Chen's jaw dropped. So this crazy woman was actually a princess. So this was the reason Grandmaster Yunqi had told him to be careful around her. Now you know how great the difference between us is. Xia Bachi sneered at Long Chen's shock. He shook his head. Yes, we really are quite different. Even if I trained for 10,000 years, I wouldn't be comparable to an idiot like you. Xia Bachi, what a great name. You! Her eyes practically spit out flames. Not only Xia Bachi, but even Xia Changfeng's eyes turned cold for a moment before he smiled. Okay, now that everyone knows each other better, I wonder what you were talking about before it to get this lively. Fadayu and the others were naturally a bit uncomfortable with the Xianxia's prince here. After all, he was a prince, and the difference in status was too great. They weren't as obstinate as Long Chen, and didn't dare say anything out of place to him. They were all silent for a moment. Xia Bachi sneered. I heard these toads insulting the third princess and talking about who she would marry. But funnily, none of them knew my brother has already been given a betrothal gift to the Empress Dowager to win the third princess over. For these guys to put their sights on my brother's fiancée, they really are courting death. Long Chen's expression changed at that news. He coldly asked Xia Changfeng, Is this true? Long Chen, control your attitude, warned the scarred man. No matter. Xia Changfeng waved his hand at the scarred man. He smiled at Long Chen. The reason I came to the Phoenix Cry Empire this time was because my father ordered me to propose to the third princess. Since the Empress Dowager has already agreed, we should be able to quickly set a date. If Brother Long has time in the future, I invite you to come to my Xianxia for the wedding feast. Who knew whether Xia Changfeng was doing it on purpose, but his expression towards Long Chen was one of a victor looking pitifully on the loser. Did he know? Long Chen couldn't help being worried, despite that Jia Changfeng was purposely provoking him. But his anger still rose up uncontrollably. Maybe if he was doing this without knowing the truth, then it would be fine. But Long Chen knew that there was a conspiracy around Chu Yao. Those foreign spiritual energies within her were seeds of energy waiting to be reaped. It appeared someone had finally come to harvest them now that they were ripe. Although the person who had set them in place wasn't Jia Changfeng, he was the one benefiting from it. So he was definitely a participant. He must know many secrets. Thinking about his own experiences, he pondered whether his situation had anything to do with Jia Changfeng. The probability was definitely high. His killing intent boiled when he thought of the conspiracies around him and Chu Yao. But now, it still wasn't time to take action. He still had to get stronger. Only the tip of the iceberg had been revealed to him so far. He still wasn't in control, so he needed to endure. Keeping this in mind, his anger was quickly replaced with calmness. Seeing Long Chen's angry expression suddenly fade, Jia Changfeng's heart shook slightly. The caution he felt towards Long Chen increased. Enemies who could control their emotions were truly the terrifying ones. Brother Jia, I don't think you should propose to the third princess. Long Chen shook his head. Huh? Why? I've studied the secrets of fate. When I did some calculations for you, I realized that Brother Jia's name contains the word wind, while the third princess's name contains the word forest. Wind will destroy the forest, so it's not good for the third princess. Long Chen was watching for Jia Changfeng's expression. Haha, Brother Long really is funny. How could such a thing be given true credence? Laughed Jia Changfeng. Long Chen's eyes became even gloomier. By using his divine sense to its limits, he had noticed that while Jia Changfeng's expression might not have changed while he had spoken, his heart had jumped a bit. So this bastard really does know quite a lot. Not so. My ability to read faces is definitely at the master level. Brother Jia, you have much fire in your life, and that is why you were given the name Changfeng. Fire borrows the power of the wind. Such a flame spreads for thousands of miles with nothing being able to block it anymore. It truly is a good name, praised Long Chen. Jia Changfeng smiled slightly, but he also paused for a moment, his heart going wild. Did Long Chen really have such skills? His name really had been inspired by a mysterious person who had explained it just as Long Chen had explained it. His life was fire-fated, and only due to this did his parents name him Changfeng. Although he kept his expression as calm as ever, his heart was jumping and his blood surging. The change in his breathing was unable to escape Long Chen's awareness. Long Chen laughed inside, not expecting his fake act to actually touch upon something. He continued. As for our third princess, her name contains the Yao character. You are fire-fated, but her name has water. More importantly, her name has the character for king, so it's not just ordinary water, but the king of water. Wind and forest repel each other, while water will put out fire. You cannot marry someone with such a name. And furthermore, the capital is surrounded by water on 4 sides, so it's far too risky for Brother Jia. If you dare marry the third princess, you most likely won't live a long enough life to even leave the Phoenix Cry Empire. So I advise you give up on this notion. Women are like clothes. For just a piece of clothing, you will put your life in danger. It's just not worth it. Shifeng, Fatayu, and the others' expressions all changed. Was he threatening the prince? As for Long Chen's ability to read faces, they half believed it and half doubted it. But now, Long Chen was explaining it all very clearly, and they couldn't help trusting it. At this time, Jia Changfeng's expression was very unsightly. Long Chen's words made him very uncomfortable, as he had no way to refute them. Don't try deluding us with your lies. You think you can confuse a prince just by using a few parlor tricks? I think you're getting tired of living, shouted the scarred man angrily. A dog who won't listen actually dares talk before his master. frowned Long Chen. From the start, he could feel the scarred man's killing intent, and that killing intent chilled him to his bones. That meant the scarred man was mulling over how to kill him. Long Chen definitely wouldn't give him any face. Bastard! The scarred man angrily shouted and punched at Long Chen. Stop! Jia Changfeng prevented the scarred man from attacking. He had already returned to his normal state at the time. And then he smiled at Long Chen. Who would have thought that Brother Long had such a humorous side? My horizons have truly been broadened. Unfortunately, I still have things to do at this time, so let's talk another day. Jia Changfeng brought both the scarred man and Xiaobachi away, but Xiaobachi still gave Long Chen an angry glare, her disdainful gaze seeming to consider Long Chen just to be a piece of meat. After getting down the stairs, the scarred man ruthlessly said, If it weren't for you blocking me, Long Chen would already be a dead man now. This Long Chen definitely has to die. I almost lost control of myself. That bastard really is loathsome. But Long Chen still has other uses for now. If he died, then it would affect our plans. Let him live a few more days, sighed Jia Changfeng. Even someone as calm as him had almost taken action to attack him. He was truly infuriated. Master sent orders for me to defeat Long Chen in front of that old bastard Yun Qi. If you kill him before then, it will definitely anger that old ghost, coldly said Xiaobachi. That old idiot, whether I sincerely begged or tried to seduce him, he just wouldn't help me. What a waste of time. Jia Changfeng looked at her and shook his head. From the beginning, Master's attempts at having you entice him were unlikely to work. Why? Jia Changfeng shook his head and didn't reply. The scarred man beside him sighed. Because, princess, you don't have the proper temperament of a woman. Xiaobachi sent a slap at the scarred man's face, but he just smiled indifferently, seeming very accustomed to this. Once they had left, Long Chen and the rest also lost interest in drinking. Long Chen felt as if time was running out for him. The closer he got to the truth, the more dangerous it became. Once the whole truth was revealed, if he didn't have enough strength, then he would undoubtedly die. But there was fundamentally not enough time. He had to take advantage of every moment to cultivate. Just the slightest increase in power would give him a greater chance at surviving. But Chu Yao's situation was also pressing on him. He had to race against time to resolve her matter. Are you Long Chen? Suddenly, a lean, middle-aged man walked up the restaurant and greeted Long Chen. Chapter 31. End.